Sun in Aquarius. Sun in Aquarius. Damn, it feels like a big one to talk about. The sun representing our vital energy, where we shine the brightest, where our soul and ego intermesh most harmoniously. That is in Aquarius. And Aquarius being the archetype of this water bearer, this truth seeker, and then spreading that truth to others, to the collective, from a place of detachment, but also from abundance of love. Having this very deep longing for integration with the collective and God and oneness, but also having the longing for individualization, still being a bit of a contrast that Aquarius has, and also this longing for the ideal version of society and living in this dream scenario of what we, with our ideology, want something to be, and trying to convey this, and being a fixed, stubborn sign, relaying this with conviction, and this also like mad genius, being a very like intellectual sign as well. In my experience, it is this pull towards the rebelliousness, the difference, and being kind of like striving for the uniqueness from the masses, wanting to stand out and be special, and kind of like being, since we are an intellectual sign, I think it is oftentimes we do have a kind of a strong ego, because we do need to have that fixedness, like our identification with our ideology, in order to actually have passion enough to convey them with such interest, which then can become an issue if we're too much in the ego, if we're too I don't know if I can say that it's like you should be wary that you're not narcissistic or too focused on your goals, but kind of because we're also known for being so much in our heads intellectually that we can be a bit cold. We're a bit detached from our feelings, which it's hard to say that because it all depends on your moon placement and your other like Venus placement and your Mercury and Neptune. So like it's hard to say this is how every Aquarius is, like it depends. So I think it helped me to understand what Aquarius symbolizes when I've heard someone say that the first house, because every zodiac sign is also associated to a house, kind of. So the first house being associated with Aries, for example, all of the signs and houses being kind of like a correlation between them, and the first house being from the center of a person, like this is the eye, and then it goes more and more, like the further along the houses you go, the more like out it goes. It goes from like your value, your economy, your self-expression, your community, to your house, to your self-expression, to your work, to your relationship, to your spirituality, your search for truth, your job, and then the collective, and then the 12th is like the oneness, the unconscious. So when I looked at it or started to see it that way, and Aquarius being connected with the 11th house of the collective, the friendships, it kind of makes sense that it still has this relationship towards the group, towards the community and the collective. It's interested in its own relationship towards it, not like the 12th house, the Pisces, that wants to merge. It's interested in its own benefits, the souls and egos togetherness benefit to the bigger picture. It is a really like interest in service towards the whole. And I think that is super, like, I've always felt that. I always felt a very like a pull towards, I have a message and I need to rely it to other people. And that's like, I didn't know anything about Aquarius until like a few years ago. And when I understood that sign, I was like, okay, it really resonates. And this deep like feeling, almost like you have the collective's burden on your shoulders. And this like mad scientist archetype of you thinking that you can save it. That is like, it's a very interesting one to have. It's like this, almost like because from the 10th house of career, it's like a bit self-centered, and the 12th house being the merging, and this 11th house being in between them. It's the best of both worlds almost. It's like this bridge of them both. And that is a very interesting and a bit like challenging thing as well to balance. And it's also why Aquarius is said to be a good leader, because we do have this interest in the group and its bests as well. And the truth, a very like a drivenness towards the truth. This rebelliousness as well is interesting to think about. It's all that which makes us this fixed energy of not wanting to conform and having the alternative way, and the alternative way looking more attractive since it's not the status quo. And for someone with Aquarius, it might resonate a lot when you start to look into unconsciousness, like Carl Jung, reading up on him and his work. And if you don't like to read, like look up YouTube videos about him and his findings. That can be a very like Aquarian traits, something that really looks attractive to someone with Aquarius sun, because his whole thing, or what he's most famous for, is this collective idea, and that is a very Aquarian thing. It can be also that you are very identified with your ideas. For example, I became vegan for like over 10 years ago and had a lot of like, that became my identification and my ideal, and I thought that that's what the world needs. Like, we need to eat more plant-based, that will help so many people, and then just going with it. And like I still think that way. And you are conscious about it. It can be this fixedness that creates revolution. It creates a drive, but it can also make you a bit biased in some cases. But probably if you're Aquarius sun, you have some ideology that you live and swear by. And just be cautious. Don't be too biased. And sometimes, like, you're biased for a reason, but yeah. It's good to look at your moon sign for an Aquarius, since we can be very intellectual and we can be very much about the ideas and like I said before, a bit cold and detached to our people in our more close circles. It can be good to see what moon sign you have, since the moon sign tells you also what you need to nurture your soul and your inner world. It can indicate what you do need, since it can be challenging for an Aquarius sun to know what it needs if it's stuck a lot in the head. If it's thinking all the time, it can be kind of challenging, and the moon placement can really tell you then what you might need. So yeah, your Mercury placement can as well be very good to understand, as this is how you process information and how you communicate it out. And if your purpose or your drive is to do something for the collective, most times it is ideology. It is presenting something new, taking different aspects and creating something and then transmitting it forward towards the group, the whole. Then your Mercury can also help you understand how you can convey this in the most efficient way, because it can be that it's not very Aquarian-like. It can be a bit more like earthy, or a fire sign, or it can be like water, and then it's good to understand how they interact and look at the aspects as well, if there's any aspects between them. Aquarius sun also, I think, can appreciate art, as well as that is another way for the ego, the individualization, the feeling of self, getting in touch with the big collective and the truth of the human experience. That is also a way in towards the collective. So any type of art can be also a good way to get your fix of the collective spirit, and also your Venus placement tells you how you interact with that kind of art and your view on beauty and stuff. But just in general, having outlets that reach, it can be more that you're more drawn towards more intellectual collective art, for example, like poetry or something, since Aquarius is more like air. I think that is it for now, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.